This video brought to you by our Patreons. Please consider supporting this channel and joining our Patreons at patreon.com/NovaWing24. Welcome back, folks, to part 2 of our ongoing how-to guide on how to make the most of the add-on files section of Prepared V3 and V4. So for those just joining, if you haven't seen part 1, I highly suggest that you check that out first if you do want to sort of be able to use the installers of various scenery files or aircraft files. Otherwise, if you're wanting to know a bit more details, such as getting involved in how to get content in multiple drives or install content from zip files or doing manual installs, this is possible. This is probably going to be the episode for you. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us once again. Alrighty, so now that we've seen we can get a aircraft added in from an installer. So that wasn't too complex, fairly straightforward. We got it done, so we made it appear in the sim. Now the next step is we want to do something a little bit more complex. Now, just a bit of a fair warning for this one. This one is going to be kind of complex, but it's actually really good and really powerful to actually show off what this whole adding this, doing add-on, putting in add-ons, putting additional aircraft and scenery in, not in the core sim, how powerful it can actually be. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing, as I said, we're going to be covering a lot of ground in this next section. So what we've got here is we've got the global AI ship traffic pack from Henrik Nielsen, and also its expansion of an additional 200 ships. So I've picked this sort of set here for a couple of reasons. So the first thing is that it's not an aircraft. That's the first thing. Is that we're actually dealing with AI. We're dealing with boats. So lots and lots of boats. We're dealing with traffic files and therefore scenery files as well, and a stack of effects and sounds. So there's a lot going to be going on in this. We're also going to be putting this all together, and this is all manual install. So a couple of things that we're going to do to get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is also, we're not going to be installing this directly inside of my documents folder. Instead, we're going to be storing this on a different drive. So what we're going to hear is that, so I have an SSD that I have most of my flight sims installed on, but I also use that SSD for putting a lot of my content on as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder. So that you can see that's where my prepared V4 install is, but we're going to create a new folder. So we're going to call this one AI ship traffic. Okay, so we're going to call it that. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So we're going to do that. Okay, that's good. So we're going to, first off, we're going to put now we're going to go back here. So what I've got here, so I've downloaded the 2 zip files from the AvSim library, and now I've extracted those just to these folders once. Now we're going to do a bit of a, I'm just going to put it here, just a temporary merge folder. Okay, just so we can get the reference here. I'm going to pop a new window open for this one just so it's a bit easier. So that's the merge. Alright, so the first thing, now these are designed to be installed in sequence. So we're going to go into the global AI ship traffic folder first. So remember that this is going to be similar to how we think of in our actual simulator. So we're going to be grabbing our effects folder. We're going to be grabbing the sound folder. So let's grab those 2 first. We're going to cut those, and then we're going to paste those there. Alright, cool. Alright, now the sim objects. So what we're going to do is we're going to be a bit tricky here. So we're actually, at the moment, it's designed, as I said, by default this is designed for you just to drop it straight into your sim, but we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift select all of those, we're going to cut them, and we're going to move it up 1 level. While it does all that, there we go, and then we're just going to delete wherever the boats folder has gone. There it is. So we're just going to delete that folder there because we've moved it all into there. Right. We're then going to grab that folder and paste that there. Alright, now with the scenery, now the scenery files here for this one is scenery world scenery traffic folders. What we're actually going to do, we're just going to grab this one here. So first of all, I'm going to make a new folder here, and we're going to call it traffic files. Okay. and then we're going to, so we've gone into it, so it's scenery, that's where the traffic files are there, so we're going to cut that one, and we're going to paste that there. Okay, right. Now there's a couple of reasons why we did that, and we'll get to those as we get along a bit further. Alright, so that's basically now cleaned up here. So we don't need anything, so none of this was actually needed, it's just sort of instructions and readmes and stuff like that, and it's like where the routes are. So there's nothing that we actually need for the actual install. Alright, so now we're going to go to its expansion pack. Okay, so pretty much we're going to repeat the same process here. We're going to grab the effects folder and the sound folder. We're going to cut those and we're going to paste those. We're going to merge those two together. Now there are some shared files, so just get them to replace it because it is the newer folder. Alright, then we're going to do the similar thing again. We're going to go sim objects. So we've got animals and boats this time, so this is going to be interesting. So we're going to grab our new animals, again, cut, move up one level, paste, and we're going into the boats. We're going to grab all of these, cut them, and move them up one level. And then we can get rid of the animals and boats folders. Okay, so we basically put all of the AI objects together. We're then going to go up a level. We're going to cut that, paste it over here, and there will be some which will share the same names. That's fine, so we'll replace those. There we go. Done, done, done. Alright, so then once again, we're going into our, so we go into traffic files. Well, scenery, there are the traffic files. So we're going to grab that one and paste there, and we'll replace the ones merging together. Alright, cool. So what we've done, we've basically taken all the content that we're actually going to use out of these two add-ons, and we're actually going to, so we put it in this merge folder here. So that's the first step. So there's a bit of this is a multi-step process, but I really wanted to showcase this because, as I said, there's a lot going on, especially when you're doing AI traffic, because this covers off sim objects, it covers off effects, sound files, and scenery, especially traffic files. Okay, so we've done with this, so we're done with that one with the second file, we get rid of that one now. Okay, so now we've got back to over here, so remember that we created this new AI ship traffic folder over here on our sim drive. So we're going to go into our merge folder here, we're going to grab these folders, okay, and then we're going to cut those and we're going to move them over onto our AI ship traffic folder. So we're just going to let that quickly move all of those. In the meantime, while that's going that, we can close that window. So while that's moving, let's grab our add-ons folder. Okay, so what we're going to do, see how we got this folder name here, we're going to copy that folder name, and then we're back in our My Documents folder, Prepared V4 add-ons. We're going to create a new folder here, and we're going to use the same name that we have over here where we're actually putting all our stuff on a different drive. Now, that's technically you don't have to use the same name, but it's just easier for, you know, it helps my brain when I actually have that the same that way. It's just easier on my brain. All right, so now we're going to open our text editor. Okay. Now we're gonna, just for simple sakes here, let's copy our add-on XML. So let's copy. This is the one we created for our Nomad. So let's copy that one. Paste that in here. There we go. Okay. Go, and then we will open it over here. All right. So first things first, we're going to go through and make some changes. We're going to change the add-on name, which is going to be AI Ship Traffic. Okay. What's the description? So this is combined AI Ship Traffic collection. Okay. All right. So now, obviously, we're going to have a few different categories. So the first category you can see, or just zip that over there. So the first category, obviously, yeah, we've got the sim objects one, but it's not sitting in our documents, folder where this add-on XML sits, is it? So we need to actually specify. So therefore, just using that generic path isn't going to work. We need to set a specific path. So what we do is we go into it, and you can see fdrive / AI ship traffic / sim objects, or whatever you've called your folder. So we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste that as the path. So it actually has the full path, including the drive letter. Right, so that's that one. So now we know it'll see the sim objects. So now we need to set up a few more sets. So next thing we're going to need to do, we're going to copy that there, and we're going to paste it there. But this time, obviously, it's not sim objects. We're going to use the next ones. We're going to use effects. Okay, and we're just going to rename this effects, because that's what it is. Cool, done. Alright, so we're going to copy this one again. And, I really like Notepad++, but it's just that's the one syntax thing that I can never seem to get right. Okay, so the next one is we're going to do sound. Okay, so again, pretty straightforward. Now the definitions of these are set out in the prepared SDK, as I sort of alluding to earlier. But pretty much it's most things that affect sim objects and that are found in the root directory of your prepared sim can become one of these. Please consult all the documentation if you do want to explore that and see what other ones you can do. But yeah, it includes DLLs, sound effects, sim objects, scenery. All of this is just possible. So it's a lot. It's such a powerful tool. It's a little complex. It can trip you up, but it's such a powerful tool. All right, next we're up to the final step, which of course is the traffic files and the scenery. Probably should make that a little bigger, shouldn't I, to make it a bit bigger for everyone. There we go. It's probably a bit easier to read now. Large. There we go. Okay. So final one, of course, is traffic files. Now this is where it gets a little weird, and it sort of does get a little bit different, and I do need to cover this off. Okay, so first part is that we're going to call this one, actually, you know what, the best way to show this off is probably actually going to be showcasing some additional content that includes scenery. So let's have a look at the FSDG one. I think it's probably a good way to do it. Okay. So yes, here we go. Okay, so FSDG, great developer. I've got their AirRock scenery installed as part of my Prepare v4 install. So what is the main difference between, even here you can see here, so you can see the effects, you got the path. Interestingly enough, they actually use the full path even though it's in the documents folder. Anyway, so you got the path there and the scenery section. What's the main difference? The difference is this line here, the name line. It's got a name line and a layer line. Okay, those two are different. Why? Now that's to do with the fact that scenery gets compiled as part of your scenery list. Now to do that, the layering is actually handled automatically, so we don't have to specify that. That will actually be specified. That will actually be handled automatically for us. But we do need to specify the name, and that's the part that can trip up a lot of people, especially early on. And it tripped me up when I was first experimenting with this as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our add-on that we're creating. So we're going to copy this one here, scenery. Okay, so we're going to copy that, and we're going to replace that one with that. Okay. Now, in terms of scenery, so we've got traffic files here, and then we've got scenery. So for those who may remember or have seen sceneries or expect scenery and stuff like that, what you generally will see is that a scenery folder will have the folder or the name of, so again, actually use this FSDG error as a good example. So we've got AirRock. So using this one again, so we can see that the path for the scenery is AirRock, which is that folder there, and then is automatically already scenery texture folders there. So that's a standard that's built into the core sim, predates, goes back all the way to FSX, and actually I think before into FS9 days this does. So it always, if you're looking for a scenery folder, it's always going to expect to see these two folders, so we don't need to specify that. But we do need to specify this top folder here. So we're going to copy this one there, and we're going to use that as our scenery folder. Right. Okay, so there we go, AI ship traffic files. Now, as I said, what we need to do is we need to put this name line in here, because if we don't do that, then we are not going to see our scenery. So what we do is we're going to go category, and we're going to go name, and we're going to tab that across. There we go. All right, so we're going to call this one, we're going to call this AI ship traffic. Okay, that's what we're going to call that one. Done. Simple, all good. Now, as I said, we're not going to put the layer in because the layer will get added in automatically by the sim. So we can close that one now. We don't need that anymore. All right, so we just check here. So go back. We've got 4 folders here. We've got 4 entries in our add-on component sections. All good. We've got our description, our name, and our name. Most importantly, our name for our scenery. All right, so what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to, now that we've got that, we can close that. And I'll just go back up here, reopen it, and make sure it is all good. And yep, all good. So what we've done is that we've actually, so we've still got our sort of in our My Documents, we've still got that folder, but it's actually pointing to content on another drive. So as I said, simple tool. So a lot of people sort of ask, you know, they don't want to have stuff on the C drive, or they want to be able to put content on a spinner drive or on an SSD rather than a spinner drive and stuff like that, or they're concerned that their C drive is going to be full of content, or you just want to keep all your flight sim content on certain drives. This is a great way to be able to do that. Alright, so now that we've got all that set up, now hopefully in theory this should now work. So what we're going to do is we're going to minimize all that, and we're going to launch prepared, and hopefully we will see everything work. So the first thing that we know here, that it's at least starting to look right, is it's going to enable add-on AI ship traffic. So basically it's scanned the documents, if I can grab the folder, here we go. So it's scanned documents prepared before add-ons, and it's gone, oh, there's a new folder here with an add-on XML inside it. Obviously I need to add that to my sim, so it adds that, so that's a good start. And now we'll load in, and hopefully everything else will load correctly. Alrighty, so we're in here now, and we can jump into the add-ons much as we did for the Nomad, and we can check to see whether we've got, there it is, AI ship traffic. Alright, now here's the moment of truth. We go into the scenery, and there it is, AI ship traffic files, and we've noticed here that it's how it's grayed out, so that indicates that it is actually, it's coming from an add-on that's been managed by this add-on process rather than manually entered. So interesting enough, you can actually tell the difference between that as well. So for example here, how we've got the Orbix entries is here. So a lot of the Orbix, the original Orbix stuff was originally done, it just injected hard directly into your simulator. Whereas the newer Orbix content, ever since the update of the latest version of when the Orbix Central went to version 4, that they started offering the ability to do what's called an Orbix library, which is basically exactly what we've just gone through today. So those ones are managed in this same process, and they've got the grey there. So yeah, it's a kind of cool, interesting thing to show off. All right, so in theory, what we should do is we should jump into Nomad. So let's find one. Loads over. Here we go. The Flying Doctors one. All right, and we're going to. I don't know if I have. Do I have myself in here at the moment? No, I don't. I need to re-add myself. So we'll get the Nomad, and we'll change it to. Let's find somewhere fun to go to, shall we? Let's go to Nardi International, I think. Let's do that one. Okay, we'll do that one. Let's go to day. Let's go to Tuesday. Okay, so let's do that one, and we'll jump into the aircraft, and let's go and see how the Nomad looks, and have a quick first impression look at the Nomad, and we'll have a look at some of this ship traffic. Alrighty, so here we are in the Nomad, and yeah, fairly basic model here. Now I'm feeling like, so I know there is, or there was a one that was, I want to say it was FS9, but it was, or maybe very early days of F6, very early, but I looked long and hard at actually revitalizing it and bringing it to possibly to Prepar V4, but I just never got around to it. So I have a funny feeling that possibly this might be it. Engine smoke from the Allisons as they start up. So one thing about this aircraft is that it's very iconic from Australian sort of folklore and history. Very unsuccessful, mostly due to the fact of the engines, mostly because it was just woefully underpowered. But anyway, okay, so fairly basic, nothing really too much about it. Switches on. Okay, so it looks like a lot of the switches don't work. Beacon on, what's on? Okay, on. So some of the switches work, some don't. Some do, some don't. But still, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's the only version of the Nomad kicking around. So there you go. All right, let's taxi out to the runway. Okay, I think my first thing about this is going to be the steering's a little soft, shall we say? Shall we say that the steering's a little soft? Okay. And I think this is, at least on the ground anyway, so far it's way overpowered from what the actual real aircraft was, but anyway. Alright. Now, I picked Nandi because, just because I know there is some ship traffic nearby, so once we take off and head out to the city, we should actually see plenty of ships in the... Okay. That steering's definitely a little... I feel like I'm in Tokyo Drift. Okay, I think we're just going to do a rolling turn onto the runway here. 1 notch flaps. Sure if that vehicle's going to stop at the runway or not. Gotta love AI vehicles. Okay, well they got the fact that the aircraft's woefully underpowered, right? They got that part absolutely correct. Though it should have had far better stall performance than that, so that's something that's not quite right. It definitely should have rotated long before 120 knots, that's for sure. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll quickly turn north. There should be a few ships that we can overfly once we get to the city of Nandi. Alright, so we can see a couple of the ships here. We're just going to do a quick overflight of, what's this one here? It's the the Fantasy Elaine cruise ship. Docked off and dropping some passengers off to enjoy the beautiful tropical sights of Fiji. So yeah, and then I think we've got another another one up ahead. I think we can probably make out just up over there. Yep, there we go. Looks like a tanker of some description, I think. What's this one? So it's a cargo carrier, the Casablanca. So while we fly towards that one, so what did we learn today? So in this tutorial, what I hope I've been able to do for you guys is be able to show you some ways of taking advantage of this inbuilt functionality of Prepared v4 and Prepared v3 for those who might still be using v3. And the assumption would be is that, you know, the next iteration of Prepare would most likely have it as well. Now, why did I want to show you this to you guys is because one of the things, as I said early on, the size video that you often hear, and one of the struggles is that when you update Prepared, or when you sort of have to do an uninstall and reinstall of your sim, it can take hours, not for the sim itself, but actually because of the add-ons that you've actually then got to put back in and how that actually affects your actual simulation experience. And as we talked about in the 3 Grumpy Simmers, as we talked about recently, you know, when you add stuff into your sim, that can actually often cause a lot of issues down the track. Doing it this way allows you to actually troubleshoot things like if you suddenly experience problems in your sim, you can actually disable these add-ons, either by just, you know, removing the add-on.xml file or renaming it, or going into that splash, that launch screen in Prepared and disabling an add-on. And the fact that because it's not installing in the core sim's actual sort of location, then it's not actually a destructive feature of your sim, it's actually constructive. So your core sim is unaffected. And again, it's one of those things where if you are looking at sort of, you know, having multiple add-ons and stuff like that, it can be very important to actually do that. I'm just seeing that this cargo ship, as we just go past it there, it's all working. So yeah, so why was it important to show that off to you? I think it's because, as I said, it's just one of those features that is underestimated as being part of a Prepared install, and one of the things that's available to use the Prepared that can actually save a lot of headaches long term, and allows you to experiment and do stuff like that as well, and decide to just different things, and again, give you back more control of your sim. I think is a good way to do it. Now, does this work with all add-ons? Unfortunately, there are some add-ons where you know, especially DRM related, there can be DRM related issues where it may not work, i.e. Milviz. But you know, you can generally get around most of them. As I said, just persevere with it. So yeah, so I hope you found this tutorial interesting and useful. Let me know your thoughts and your comments in the description down below. But I hope you've enjoyed it. As I said, it's been one that I've been wanting to cover off for a while because I use this extensively, both in my personal sim experience and also in my work as well. So I think it's an incredibly powerful, underestimated tool. It's been around since Prepared v3. And it's great to see that, you know, more and more developers are actually taking advantage of it now. But it's also important to know that you don't have to be a developer to do it. These tools are accessible to all of us, so there you go. Alright, well, that does round out this tutorial for Prepared v4. Thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget that if you do like these videos and you would like to support myself and the channel and the work that I do here on the channel, that you can join and be a Patreon of NovaWing24. Just head over to patreon.com/NovaWing24 for some exclusive Patreon activities. You can have your say on what you'd like to see covered in the next episode, or if there's a tutorial you'd like to see, then you never know, we might be able to do it for a future episode. You get early access to content coming through as well, so don't forget to subscribe and join up with Patreon to do that. Beyond that, folks, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these videos and want to see more. And of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by finding me on Facebook and on Twitter. Just search NovaWing24. Alright, folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.